Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Unfucking Your CX. Of course, everyone knows I am your host, but I'm very excited for Trent to jump into the hot seat today. We have a fantastic topic, one that I write about often, but I'm glad that Trent, you're jumping in here. So, Trent, welcome to the hot seat.
Thanks, Zach. Thanks for reaching out. Always good to connect. I think we've been writing about similar things on LinkedIn, supporting each other's comments. So either we both crazy or maybe we're onto something in the CX space.
Or maybe it's both. Maybe we are both crazy but we also have a topic that we're passionate about that what we believe will help elevate the level of influence in CX. But Trent, before we talk about the specific topic, I always love to set the scene, right? We're two colleagues. We have a topic that we're passionate about. Where's it taking place? Favorite restaurant, maybe favorite coffee shop, pub? Where do you like to have these chats?
So we're quite lucky in terms of the office park that we work in. It's got a great coffee shop. We're heading towards winter in our neck of the woods, but still nice to be outside in the sunshine, enjoying the trees, and yeah, just getting a touch of nature in between all of the CX work.
Yeah, very cool. I love that. I love these new kind of office parks, office spaces, opening up that really just encourages folks to get outside for a bit of their day, whether it's for lunch, for a coffee, for whatever it may be. But we're so plugged into our screens. So it's like, hey, get outside for a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. And kind of put you back in reality, away from AI, away from bits, away from computer systems, and back to the real world.
That's right. Well, Trent, I appreciate you coming to the hot seat. You and I, we've connected over LinkedIn and to your point, we've engage with each other in comments here. And I'm really curious. You do a lot of work globally with a lot of brands, and you talk about a lot of topics in CX. You help, engage brands to deliver better customer experiences. What is that one topic that comes up, or maybe it doesn't come up, but it makes you just absolutely cringe the most?
Yeah, Zach, I've kind of been thinking about this quite a lot, and obviously I write a little bit about it as well. There's a lot of hype at the moment. So obviously AI is at the center of a lot of discussions, and context is important. But I think the thing that is so just fundamentally missing out of CX at the moment, and yes, people talk about it, but they're not doing it, is this focus on ROI. The real ability to tangibly, on a real time basis, keep track of whether it's making a difference. I have to be a little bit critical here. And I just think too many CX professionals are soft and fuzzy around a discipline that really, really should be hard. It's a revenue discipline. It should be part of your rev ops. It's not be nice to customers. I mean, sure, you have to be nice to customers. Sure, you have to have great experience. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that you have to have great experiences, but that's not the point. The point is, can you change the behavior of the customer and get better outcomes for your business? Because that's the test as to whether you're actually getting to do what you should do. And we just see so many CX professionals kind of live in the, I'm going to be, nice on the phone, or, I'm going to chase my NPS survey, not did we sell more? Did they buy more? Did they stay longer? That's the stuff that really matters. And everyone's talking. There's a little bit of talk around it, and even Reichholdt has started to talk about it in an NPS context. But the methodology is still weak. It doesn't measure real outcomes, and I think, quite frankly, a lot of the vendors are weak in this regard because it's easy to get surveys going. It's not so easy to get real revenue. Well, it's not impossible. I mean, not at all, but it's not getting the focus it should.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on this, right? I mentioned off the call, and I'll say it. I know you're not going to say it, but what I see is, even when I started to lead customer experience at Aaron's, what I was not great at, Trent, was connecting the dots between here's what our customers are telling us, right? So here's the feedback through our survey program that we had, but here's how it impacts the overall business. I wasn't good at connecting the dots between here's our customer frictions and here's how they show up on the P&L. And so ultimately, I didn't have a lot of influence within the organization when I first started. I would show up to prioritization meetings, to your point, with our NPS scores, our CSAT scores, and some customer feedback. And I used to always get, hey, this is nice, but let's address it next quarter. And so ultimately, what I'm seeing still is there's this fundamental gap, skill gap, and even competency gap on one, how does your business, how does your brand even just make money? What's the economics of the customer? And then two, can I even do a root cause analysis of this specific KPI, or I'm seeing this specific friction? Here's a key driver tree to get to the KPI. And so I'm curious, Trent, like as you are doing work, with brands and with customer experience leaders, before we get into the player tips, why do you think there is that gap?
I think there's several reasons for it. Number one, I think a lot of CX professionals haven't embraced it. It's kind of it's the elephant in the room that no one wants to talk about because they're all too scared to go there because, it's kind of this perception that it's really difficult to do. And I wouldn't say it's easy to do, but it's also not impossible to do. So if you look at CX, our belief is that there are two fundamental elements that are important. Number one, understand how the customer's feeling and the perception of the brand. And everyone does that, and it's done generally really, really well. Okay. The second thing is, how are they behaving? What actions are they taking? Okay. And just to translate and make it a little bit more tangible is, are they buying more? Are they referring more? Not would they refer, are they referring? Are they buying more of the product? Are they staying longer? You have to assess the behavioral outcome. CX programs are broken at their core because they're centered around surveys, and no survey keeps track of the behavioral outcome. Now, what's fundamental, and we do have a bit of a bias towards customer journeys, we have this belief that a customer journey at its simplest level needs three things. It needs a start. I started on the journey, like for argument's sake, I wanted to upgrade my mobile plan, or I want to increase my investments in my 401k. And then the outcome, I did actually increase the spend, or I did upgrade my plan, or I didn't. So in our terms, we call that a goal or a drop-off. Survey programs and survey-centric CX programs are broken because they miss the majority of the data. And what makes it worse is that surveys only survey a subset of people. If you're doing really well, you're getting 10, maybe 15% of people giving you feedback. But you know for sure 100% of people what they're doing. Well, you should, because you should have some kind of business process and you should be able to track it, but people don't. So, what sits at the core is the basis of CX, which unfortunately today it shouldn't, but it does translate to VOC, and VOC translates into surveys, and surveys by their definition give you 10% or 50%, which basically allows you to understand nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's such a really good point, and I already love how you're kind of really breaking out the fundamentals of VOC and CX are not the same things. So if we think about this ROI, this quantification of the impact of delivering great experiences, let's jump into your player tips because you help so many people. What's player tip number one?
I think, look, the first thing is get beyond survey feedback. Like all things in life, if you want to get fit and healthy, you've got to have a desire to get fit and healthy. You can't sit on the couch and complain about the fact that you're overweight. In the CX world, the first thing you got to do is say, it is important to focus on outcomes and to focus on ROI. You've got to put that at the center of what you do. And if you do that, you will elevate your position as a CX professional within an organization. You'll go from being kind of this, we use the term kind of soft and fluffy CX person, into an outcomes-based CX professional that is important and that should be part of the earnings call. Because if you're really doing your job, that's what should happen. All right.
Yeah.
Not we were polite to people on the phone, which again you have to be, but the point is it doesn't drive outcomes. So the first thing is understand that this is important. The second thing then is understand how you find data to represent that. And having that data and having a data understanding means you have to be analytical and you have to have some semblance of understanding of systems, and that you start to use a technology, more methodology maybe before the technology, make sure your methodology aligns to that kind of measurement. And then once you've got that in place, sure, then start worrying about the implementation, make sure your reports reflect it, etc., etc. But the building block has to be, this is important, and then pursue it and be analytical about it. And I think that's, to my mind, that's where it all starts. That's where you really have to get going with this.
Yeah, I love that player tip one, and I love that player tip number two is really thinking about beyond the surveys and more into that, operational behavior and financial data. And I'll tell you, Trent, when I first got started, of course, all of that data lived in its disparate systems, right? But who I started to make friends with was our analyst team, because our analyst team had access to all of that data. And quite frankly, through the analyst team, I was able to build this relationship where I could say, look, here's the story that I'm trying to tell for this upcoming meeting. Can you help me connect the dots to see, one, is this even the right story that I should be telling? Or two, is there a different story that maybe I'm missing because I don't have access to all that customer data, that I should be telling a different story? And so the analyst would come back and say, no, the story's there, but what you're missing is these two other things that's really going to get the executive's attention. And so it's great to establish those relationships. I think part of the time, CX folks think they need to go at it alone. And CX is not a siloed sport, it's a cross functional team sport.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, again, if I go to, the essence of a survey, in particular a touchpoint survey, it's kind of like trying to drive a car, not only through a rearview mirror, but through a strobe light on the rearview mirror. I mean, you're getting a snapshot of a section of a section. You just don't see the bigger picture. Now, if you're engaging with an organization, sure, talking to the agents at that particular point in time, or dealing with a service rep, sure, it's important. But it doesn't give you the whole picture, because it might turn out that you've been to the store, you phoned the call center, you've been to the website, they haven't spoken to each other, you're confused, or you're getting the wrong information. So that cross-functional element is super important, and you need people that can think like that. And as a CX professional, you need to think like that. You need to think in that particular context. Now, I think because it's kind of a lot more difficult than sending out surveys and getting some response and doing some analytics and kind of getting a couple of reports in, people stay away from that, because you're kind of going from the how do people feel mode to how do we get to make money mode. And again, what sits at the core of what CX should be is it's how a business functions. Put differently, it's a great quote that I often use from Mackie Schmidt from Forrester. She says, how do you know whether your customers feel it's worth doing business with your company? Like, that's such a great perspective. Now, it's a question of, are you getting all the things that make up the value proposition and the value that that customer wants? Are you pulling them together? And are they coherently coming together? And are you allowing the customer to engage? I mean, for so many companies, people don't need your product. I mean, who needs a banking product? Like, no one gets particularly passionate about a banking product. I mean, even a mobile phone, maybe they get excited about the new iPhone, but they don't care about a mobile plan. They care about the fact that the mobile plan enables them to communicate and spend probably too much time on Instagram. You've got to think about what is the underlying job that the customer's trying to do, and what are all the pieces that come together to make that job a reality. And if you do that, you make money. If you fail to do that, you do badly. It's
That's
actually
right.
quite simple, but
And you
it's
become
just
the next
missing.
Blockbuster, right? Or the next Circuit City. Well, Trent, this has been a jam-packed just topic and player tips. Really curious if our listeners want to get in touch with you to have a broader conversation about this or to learn about your methodologies, where can they find you?
Yeah, I suppose like everyone these days, LinkedIn's a great spot. Trent Rossini. Our website, www.incuba.com, is the other spot. I also, like yourself, there's a newsletter on LinkedIn, so kind of have my outspoken views, share those. Love to have debates with people, because debates are ultimately good about testing your thinking and see if you actually got something wrong or right, and we all learn continuously. So love the topic, love discussing the topic, love having the debates, and love to learn continuously from people that are doing this well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so spot on there. And look, I've enjoyed our debates and conversations in the comments. I think debating is so healthy, right? You bring in different points of view. Again, Trent, thank you so much for coming to the hot seat. Please don't be shy. Come back again.